The finance committee is controlling the budget.
Can I ask you a question while you're looking it up? Just, we answer, for me anyway, I still haven't heard, is the Early Learning Center closing, or is it a staff reduction of just one? Is that a yes or no question?
Staff reduction one is one.
Right, so the Early Learning Center is not closing.
Well, it's not going to.
The Early Learning Center here is closing, so the center students are going to be dispersed in their home school.
Jim Penn has the answer.
To the earlier question, improvement instruction is leadership wages that get paid out to all of our teachers, about $124,000. Summer teacher wages for summer programs that teachers do. Prison salaries in there, benefits for those teachers. The money that we pay out for the teachers to renew their certifications every year. Conferences, professional development for teachers, professional ongoing graduate study work for the teachers, professional development for the paraprofessionals and other support staff, some professional development for non-union workers, and some supplies for our training days and the other activities that we do as part of our professional development programs. And this information is all on our website, so you can look it up. It's posted under the current year's budget. The other question you asked about was the school board line. And the school board line includes a whopping $14,000 of wages for the school board, some costs for the clerical work that is done for the school board, some costs for the awards that are given out by the school board to some of our staff, costs for the election workers for when we go to the polls, legal fees. We have legal fees that we incur on an ongoing basis, unemployment insurance that we have to fund at the district level. Our auditors, it costs $24,000 a year to audit our accounting. Some software licenses used for hiring and for human resources and those things that are at a district level. Certain school board insurances, if we spend about $10,000 on professional liability insurance just for our school board. Safety and public relations. The water over there in that bowl is paid for out of the school board budget along with the coffee. There are a few other things in there also, but those are the bulk of the items in the school board line.
Jim, since we're on the school board,
Yes.
can you please explain the addition of $25,000 this year for a contingency fund for the school
Yes.
board?
Yes, there's actually a $21,500 increase in the school board line this year. One of the things that we had discussed for the last 12 months is some concerns that the employees in the district that are not represented by unions may not be necessarily being paid at a market rate. And so this last spring and during the summer and into the early fall, we had a consultant come in and do a wage study as well as some position studies, and they looked at the competition around not only our region but around similar schools throughout the state. And they came back to us and they reported back to us that this group of people, about 80 some odd people, as a whole are about $50,000 off market, almost $60,000 off market. And so we're putting together a plan which when we bring to the board in March or April the proposed contracts for some of our non-union staff, we've put together a plan to address over a 3-year period, bringing some of the people who are out of sync with the market closer to the market wages. And that's what that $21,000 is step one of a 3-year process.
Why does that fall under the school board?
Because we had to put it at district level catch-all somewhere. And And ultimately, the school board is going to decide if you're going to approve our plan or not. And once it gets approved, I will put it out into Alsted if the person's working Alsted, special ed if it's special ed, wherever it is, and they're not teachers, I'm sorry, but if the non-union person is working in the different building, it will get pushed out to the different areas as the awards are made.
My name is Wade Kemp. I live in North Waltham, New Hampshire. My daughter is currently in the Early Learning Center now. She has delay in her speech. And I can sit here and tell you the story of my daughter. She's wonderful, and what the Early Learning Center has done for her is absolutely fantastic, but you've heard those stories already. I don't work in this school district, but I do work in higher education. I happen to work at Landmark College. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's the #1 institution for students who learn differently. And the key word there is learn differently. So everybody likes to use the word disorder or disability. But these students are not disabled. The only thing that can prevent these types of students from learning is a school system that does not embrace or nurture the fact that these students can learn. They're no different than anybody else, except for the fact that their learning style is non-traditional. So if you take a group of students who learn in a non-traditional setting and put them in a traditional setting, you're doing them and your community a disservice. Thank you.
My name's Andrea Vickers-Separate. I live in Waltham, New Hampshire. We've heard, I think everybody agrees the program is great, but there's two parts that I feel like you need to recognize that big picture. 3-year-olds being included with 4-year-olds. Is that what's going to happen? If it is what's going to happen, then what does the program look like? That isn't the case with any other grade. It's, first grade, second grade, etc. So are we then including the 3-year-olds with the 4-year-olds? 3-year-olds that need naps, need diaper changing. And also with the 3-year-olds, would it only be 3-year-olds that are determined as needing early intervention? Or is it all 3-year-olds? Secondly, we've been lucky enough in our district to have these students who have been early identified, and we're putting them with the best teacher. So Tammy, we said at the beginning of the meeting, has done a Distinguished Teacher Award and is nationally board certified. So all of our kids, Violets, Charlestown, Walpole, are all getting Tammy. Take Tammy away, also have really great pre-K teachers. Our district as a whole is getting a disservice by not getting Tammy.
Lovely call.
Okay, before you take your straw vote, I would just like to remind the board that we started out first with 4-year-old pre-K programs that were for regular education students. It was a first come basis. Then we gradually took in the special needs students from the Early Learning Center as it was deemed appropriate, that their needs could be met. That's very different from what I hear saying that all the 3-year-olds are going to the towns regardless. And I just would like you to keep that in mind, as Kevin said, and do some homework and research first.
My name is Jenny Crawford, and I am a special ed teacher here at the high school. I am a parent of a graduate from the Early Learning Center, and I've also worked at the Early Learning Center during the summer as a lead teacher. And I would just like to say that I really think it would be a shame benefited greatly from it, and it just provides so many great opportunities. And as a special ed teacher, I'm not sure as a school district that we're ready to handle that at, dispersing these kids to different schools, and being a special ed teacher and knowing what it takes to case manage, just not sure if we're ready for that.
Hi, I'm Diana Bushway. I am a Charlestown resident, and I'm a teacher here at the high school. I'm a special educator. I've been here for 24 years, and when I came in, I met Tammy. I have a couple of comments to make. The first is, as a parent of 3 children, 2 of whom have graduated from this high school and are now in college, and one who has just entered her freshman year here, all 3 of my children have participated in the Early Learning Center. 2 when they were 4 years old, and 1 when she was 3. I can't tell you the benefits that my children have received from that program, and I will tell you that that program was in such demand that I registered my children at this school before they were born. Before they were born, okay? Because I knew that it would be difficult to get my children in. Now, and they all got in. That's the first piece. Very valuable program in terms of my being a parent. Now, the other piece to that, I brought up that I'm a special educator. For 13 years, I coordinated the Job Experience Program. Then I moved on to General Special Ed. I am back in the Job Experience Program, again, coordinating. Beth Fabiano mentioned the value of having the Early Learning Center on the high school campus as an extended learning opportunity for her students. I will tell you that in the, it's probably 26 years that the Job Experience Program has been in operation here at the high school, that we have sent students from the Job Experience Program to do work rotations in early childhood education. I don't know how many, they're in the dozens, okay? These kids have benefited from Tammy's experience as a teacher, from working under her supervision as an early childhood teacher, as a special educator. They have learned work readiness skills. They have learned work-specific skills in early childhood. They have learned soft skills. Those kinds of learning opportunities and employment, pre-employment training opportunities are invaluable. And when they are on campus, it makes it all the more valuable. So one more point. Lori brought up a good point when she mentioned the fact that the VACE program, which was an alternative program that provided services to our district's most behaviorally challenged students, and that eventually, over the course of time, we were able to develop programs at various points within the school district to service kids from around the school district in those particular programs. That took time. When you are looking at disbanding a program that provides services to a specific subset of children, and you are expecting that in a very brief period of time, those teachers who are teaching another subset of students with different developmental levels, with different needs, then you're going to add another group in there with very little time to plan and prepare. I have some real concerns about that. I'm done.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Walker. I'm a resident in North Walpole. I happen to be an employee. And my question, I have the same comments as everybody else. We have a nationally board teacher. We have a program that has demonstrated to the DOE that our district, Fall Mountain, which is, by the way, a standalone district, we really have really productive values that care about our students, which is why we get so many special ed students coming to our district year after year. And I feel like we're rushing to make a decision that maybe is based on fiscal decisions, I don't know. But to take students developmentally that are 3-year-olds and put them with 4-year-olds ordinarily would be a disparity or a wide learning development different. Their brains don't think the same. Their needs, basic needs aren't the same. And then you add in a special, a student that can't speak, they're unintelligible. And then you add the trauma of moving them to a larger school as opposed to one location, one door. It's warm, it's welcoming, they get used to the dynamics of the environment, and you're going to change it for what reason? For what is the ease of it? It doesn't make any sense. Is it to educate them in the same districts, in their own towns? That's contradictory to the $25,000 you want to spend to bring the middle school students at one location as opposed to educating them in their town. It doesn't make sense. So who's driving this? If you ask educators, if you ask paraprofessionals, if you ask substitutes, if you ask students, they would tell you this is a not wise decision. We need to make decisions that are sustainability driven, and this is not one of those.
Hi, it's Billy Stahl from Walpole. Years ago, we had our youngest child tested, and we brought him to the Early Learning Center, and though we did not take the services, we were focused. They were able to point us in the direction we should go. And I'm not so sure that breaking up the Early Learning Center and dispersing the resources over a bunch of 5 towns is going to offer that same kind of service. And it sounds like the town can be filled up with the regular kids. And when you get a special needs kid, you've got a centralized resource here. It's kind of like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Again, my name's Michael Hamilton, and this is the second time I'm speaking, sorry. And this is a slightly different comment. So, in the near future, I'll be finishing up a doctorate in educational leadership, and one of my favorite things in the world is actually like organizational theory. So I'm like really looking at this from this perspective. And I've got a fallacy that I think needs to be pointed out, and then some bad news for all of us. The fallacy is your statement of you will have the Early Learning Center at your home schools. I say no, you will not. The Early Learning Center is sitting over here, okay? But here's the bad news. You're not going to teach forever. I wish you, oh God, I wish you would. She's amazing. And the things that she does, like sending my wife emails of pictures of my children at 10 o'clock at night of look at what your kid was doing. And this is like amazing when you can't understand the words your daughter is saying and you see the picture and you go, oh, that's what you're talking about, okay? But it won't always be there. And in my head, I don't see you successfully moving away from this program that is so ingrained and invested in by these people and by everyone here. Think of it, you disband it, you are going to hurt yourselves. You're going to hurt the school district, you're going to hurt the people in there, you're going to be hurting the community. That will happen. All right, how much, I can't tell you. But if you took time and you looked at it and you developed other programs slowly, with the help of someone who's been doing it for, how long? 30 years, since I was like that tall. I was sorry.
Born 2'6".
So, there's a way to do this right. If you want to bring those kids, and you really think in your heart that bringing those kids home to their homes, to their towns, is right, there's a way to do that right, but quickly isn't it. You will create a rift, you will hurt people, you will hurt kids, and it will take a long time to heal that. Now, how that ripples economically, I couldn't tell you, but it will. And I was already suggested, take some time, look at it, see what you're doing. And I think that's not a crazy thought.
My name is Janice Sellerall, and I live in Walpole. I came here with a lot of talking points tonight, but we pretty much covered it. So I'm just wondering, are there any of you that are not convinced that we should keep the Early Learning Center as it is, or at the very least, take some time to discuss this further? Does anybody need any more convincing?
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
I'm not happy with any of the cuts we made in the second part, because they're all impact us. You know, this early learning center, I mean, my kids didn't go there, but my kids did get help within their schools. And it was one of my needed reading help. And I'll tell you, once he learned to read, everything changed. And he went on to he's doing great things. So I get, believe me, I get it. And I get the fact that we all learn differently. I have two kids that are very different. And I get it. I guess, you know, as we sit here on the budget committee and we sit here within our district, we're hearing from the taxpayers, we can't afford it, we can't afford it, we can't afford it. And we sit back and say, okay, what do we do? Where do we go? You saw the pie chart. Where do we find this money that needs to be cut to help offset these deductions? You know, or the loss in equitable aid. It's not that I think that any of us want to cut anything. But by all means, I don't want to. I care deeply about this district. I graduated from here. I graduated together. You know, but we did. I grew up in here. I grew up in Akron. I love these towns. You know, you talk about the difference, you know, she said something about 3 and 4 years being together. I went to the Akron school. I had first and second, third, fourth, and fifth. Well, now fifth graders school. That was a hard transition. Do I know that it's the best option? I can't tell you if it is because it hasn't happened. Any transition is difficult. Would I say right now, put it back in? Sure, if that's what the taxpayers want. But they need to remember that if we put it back in, and you still want us to cut our budget, where does that money come from? You know, I know it's not a lot per thousand. I mean, in Ackworth it's 6 cents, Elston it's 9, Charlestown it's 16, Langdon 9, and Walpole 7. That's nothing. But as we did in this last budget cuts, all those pennies added up to $523,000 or $532,000. So again, like I said, I hear you. Tammy Vinham, I can't say, Tammy is an amazing person and an amazing teacher. And she goes above and beyond her job. Above and beyond. I would never say she didn't. But what, I guess, from you, the taxpayers, we need to know, what direction do you want us to go in to make this sustainable? Where do you want us to look? Because there isn't very many places left to look. So again, like I said, I'm not saying that this isn't valuable or that. I'm just saying, where do you want us to look?
Well, I would suggest that attempting to save money on early learning is never a good idea. Because the money you invest up front will pay them, so it does not make sense to try to save money by cutting early childhood education.
And that's why we put the pre-Ks in. Because the pre-Ks are showing now, over that time period, and Elston especially, that we cut back on those needs of those students. So again, I understand that. But again, where else in that pie is that money to pull from?
Well, I don't know exactly,
But I don't either. There isn't.
I would really like you to go back and think about other places.
And I would like you to do that.
I'll give a counterpoint to that. When I heard about this a month ago, I was dead set against it, and I'm still against it. Both of my children benefited from Tammy and the Early Learning Center. My oldest received speech, PT, and OT. And we insisted on sending our children to the Orchard School. So Tammy had to struggle logistically to have speech, PT, and OT make their way up to the Orchard School. And that was just one school. Remember what a nightmare that was. And now we're going to send those therapists to 5 different schools. You know, and as Jackie stated, we're asking for 25,000 to study regional middle school, which most of us believe in. But yet we're saying regional early learning center is not. So
But I'm not
That's,
saying that.
you know.
I'm not saying that it's not
I think there's a couple other places we can cut that would support the early, one cut would support the early learning. Non-union raises were written into the budget instead of being voted on by the school board as we've always done. Now, I don't mean any disrespect whatsoever to those non-union personnel sitting in this room, I truly don't. But it really bothers me when it's non-union personnel that write the budget, write themselves a raise, and that raise is still there despite all the cuts we made. $80,315 right there, that would cover 80% of the cut.
Well, those non-union members do not have the option of writing a contract, which are
understand that.
teachers and our,
But in the past, we've always voted on the raise. Last year, there was an issue, it was written into the budget. This year, it was written into the budget again.
I had one other question. After everything that's been said about the Early Learning Center tonight, I still am not clear about how this decision was made. Who was consulted? Was Tammy consulted? Were the lead teachers at the community preschools, were they consulted? Were kindergarten teachers consulted? Were the special education case managers in the primary schools consulted? Do the local schools and facilities, can they accommodate 3-year-olds in addition to the 4-year-olds they currently have? Do they have the expertise to deal with 3-year-olds? I think there's just been a lot of unanswered questions and a very quick decision made on something that's very